I need to clarify something here. Being the chairman of the Planning Commission, I'm Harold Wright, 5075 Coast Road. All 5 members were in attendance. The vote was 2-1 abstention. And because protocol dictates that the chairman does not have to vote in case, unless there's a tie, I chose not to. So that you understand, I kicked myself all the way home for not voting. I agree with Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Brown didn't see any problem with what was in place right now. His opinion was we need to sit down and go through it, just like we did subdivision rules, and make adjustments where it needed to be. There was as much or more confusion than what you're hearing tonight when we heard this a month ago, even amongst the commissioners. I take the blame for not asking to table the motion pending further investigation. The monkey's on my back. That's why the vote came. If I would have voted, it would have been no. And then I thought, you know, if I do that, I just landlocked it. It's going to come to you guys anyway. But I didn't want the impression that the vote was unanimous, because it was not.
Any questions for Mr. Wright?
My suggestion would be to table it and send it back to the commission.
For the third and final time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to TA 14-1 to please approach the lectern.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Dick Bison, Record Service in Casper since 1950. And I think what you guys ought to really do is commend Dana Jones and his missus for having an antique automobiles and set him up like a museum, like what you got out here at Fort Casper, what you got at Nicolation Art Museum, and praise the man for having collected all these old cars that Grandma and Grandpa had. Cars like what I've got that Grandma and Grandpa died in. Your grandkids died in them from wrecks and that there. And I've been doing this in Casper, Wyoming since 1950. And you guys ought to take it and commend Dana Jones and his missus for being able to collect. If there's any place that except Casper, Wyoming, he'd have a museum with him. He's got one of the biggest museums in the world. And it doesn't make any difference whether it's a tow truck, a fire truck, an ambulance, or abandoned vehicles. You guys really ought to commend Dana Jones for what he's got and what he's collected, instead of having to go out there at NATRONA and build a great big 6-foot beam berm around something that's beautiful. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves for making him do that. The man is a collector, he's a showman, and he's an antique collector, just like I am. And you guys really ought to commend him instead of picking on him all the time. Instead of out there beating the bushes, trying to figure out how to get another nickel out of somebody because they didn't obey your laws. You guys are all crazy. You really are. You're a bunch of goddamn crazy bastards. Excuse me. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Bison?
I don't dare.
I don't dare. Did you hear that, Terry?
For the third and final time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to TA 14-1 to please approach the lectern.
Evening. My name is Jim Miller. 4225 Oregon Trail, not the London Mills, but out past Poison Splatter. Good evening, commissioners, ladies. Bonnie, that's what I'm saying. Had a whole bunch of notes here, but Mr. Bondi and the representative took care of most of them. I just want to express my opinion that this really needs to, this isn't good legislation, this is bad, really bad. It's vague, it doesn't cover all your bases, it needs to be more specific if you're going to proceed with this. One of the main problems I have with this, I understand the court case. Got it. I have not fully heard any justification for this. I'm just a simple country boy, and I understand natural expansion. I understand the grandfather. Why do we need this vague law that in 20 years, you guys aren't going to be here, they aren't going to be here? Who knows what is going to be out there? Coming into our state, using their jurisdictions. She constantly says it. Oh, in other jurisdictions, this is a common practice. Good. I'm glad. That isn't here. That isn't Wyoming. I'm just one of those guys out there trying to make a living, you know, working land. How's this going to affect my land out there that we have homestead? You want to talk about before zoning. So basically, I'd just like to know what's the justification for this. Can anybody answer that? The true justification for this. I don't see one. Okay. So with that, you know, I don't live in a homeowners association for a reason. I don't have a covenant. I don't need that covenant coming and finding me. I don't like it. In the future, that's your place, Rob. We get people in from California or wherever, they're going to be telling your family what to do. Using this. I don't abide by it. I don't think you either. It's their property. It's their property. Think about the future. Everybody's addressing the current zoning, the current this, the current that. What you're setting up in the future is just a bunch of dominoes. It's going to collapse. It's not going to be good results. You may have good intentions right now. In the future, those can be used against us or your family later on. Last thing I got, really, you know, like I said, everything I wrote down, they took my thunder. I appreciate it. I just asked for a vote tonight, or table it, send it back to them, like the building and zoning, or the planning and zoning, like requested. I'll stand for questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, when you mentioned about tabling it, the problem, in my opinion, about tabling it, this thing's going to go on and on.
On and on and on.
This is why I don't want to see it tabled. I just want to see it dropped.
Kill it. Kill it.
You brought it up about tabling, so I just didn't want to tell you what. But
Any other questions? Thank you. For the third and final time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition of TA 14-1 to please approach the lectern. There being no other to speak for or against TA 14-1, I now declare this public hearing closed. Do I have any questions or discussion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion. I don't know how it's going to proceed, but I'd like to make a motion. We just deny the text amendment.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Commissioner McDowell.
Mr. Chairman, I would first of all like, before I second this motion, like to thank
Hinder
all
already
the
did.
effort that legal, time and effort, legal, planning and zoning, and that planning and zoning commission have put into this process. I also appreciate the robust discussion about this issue that we've heard tonight. I think that is a function of government and important policies, and with that I would second
have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Henry.
You know, I appreciate all of the people that commented on this, and nobody was in favor of it, as you saw at the beginning of the meeting. The thing that bothers me, one of the things that bothers me, is this may end up just having more lawsuits filed, and I don't think we need that. I don't think we need to talk about it that much. I will tell you that planning and zoning is not easy. And there's private property rights issues on both sides. We talked about one up there on the hill at Wardwell the other day. And there's private property rights issues on both sides. So planning and zoning is not easy, but I agree with the idea of not tabling it and talking about it some more. Let's just forget it.
Good.
Go on. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one other thing. I too want to thank the planning department. And I have to say, it was brought to my attention, and maybe I have a lost memory or something, that this was discussed, and that's why we asked the planning department to look into it. Well, if it was, folks, I can't remember it. If it's on tape or if it's in the minutes, I'll be the first one to eat crow.
Let me get you one.
I just can't remember it. And like I said, I'll be the first one to eat crow if someone tells me that, yes, I agree to it. Because you know me, and I'll tell you, if I'm wrong, I will admit it. But I don't remember this being brought up before that I can remember. I was debating if I should say that or not, but I said it because I really don't remember it.
Thank you, Commissioner Winter.
Mr. Chairman, I had forgotten about it, but I do remember talking about it. And it was on the Jones case, because it was referenced in that case by the judge, and I do remember talking about it. So I would like to thank the legal staff for looking into it, and this is what came out of it. But I'm hearing a lot of dissatisfaction, and it may just not work. But I do remember.
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Good job, Tim.
Good job, guys. Thank